Okay, I want to make two brief announcements. We will cease the practice of using the board comments email because we are fully in person. It is not fair to those who come and sit in our audience to use that email address. And at the advice of our legal counsel, we will be removing the comment feature on our social media where possible. So I just wanted to make those brief announcements.
Thank you, Dr.
Can I
Rowley.
ask you a question? Like, on what basis? Like, who made the decision? Doesn't the board get to discuss them?
No, this board comments were decided by Mr. Reinstein, and I met with Mr. DeQuilla, Ms. Penna, and Mr. Chinchuli, and we had Francis there, and we all made a decision to remove both of those things.
That was part of a committee discussion?
No, but we haven't opened. I know we are in person, but we also, Mr. Einstein and the previous board made a commitment that we're going to have a Zoom like a hybrid meetings, and we haven't yet started them. So why are we canceling them even before we turned on the hybrid?
Because we have all these people sitting in these very comfortable chairs who come and wait to have a conversation, but other people can send an email and get the same time of airtime. So we decided it was more, I guess, equal to have. If you wanted to have a comment, you may come to the board meeting and sit and have the comment.
No, all I'm saying is the board comments was there because we didn't have the Zoom capability or hybrid meetings. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't yet, I know we have public meetings, but we still have a lot of parents who cannot make it, and we haven't enabled the Zoom facility. So can 3 board members or 2 board members make a decision unilaterally? Like,
Just also helpful info. Can you hear me? I think this works. I think this works. I know when the emergency regulations came around that allowed for virtual meetings, part of the process included public, like emailed comments, because during COVID, a lot of people, right, you weren't having in-person meetings, so that was one of the ways that you would be able to provide your comment for board consideration. But now in-person meetings is back. It's the norm, and many districts are returning to the traditional meeting format of having in-person comments. And this doesn't deprive people from still emailing board members and members of the administration. The only modification that the board president and administration is making with respect to the public comments is just that the emailed comments won't be read. But that doesn't mean that you still can't consider them and receive them and that administration can't. It's just that the in-person comments that are subject to the public meetings would be those that are in person. As far as the hybrid, I guess it's still to be decided. So this doesn't impact, I know there was consideration as to whether or not you're going to have those Zoom meetings. So that doesn't impact this. It was just more the return to that normal, typical meeting format.
so are you saying that if parents write to the board, the entire board, and request for their particular email to be read, we can still read them?
No, I'm saying that parents and members of the community can still email concerns to board members, which you would forward to administration, through the organization scheme. So that it doesn't deprive them from still communicating with board members or members of administration. It's just not going to be read aloud during the meeting.
So which district policy prevents us from reading an email?
Nothing prevents you, but nothing also entitles that either.
Yeah, so if there is nothing preventing us I propose that until we enable the hybrid meetings back up, I think we should keep this feature on. Because there are a lot of parents who still can't, the meetings, we have reduced the number of meetings compared to previous years.
Okay.
And
At this
they don't
point, we're
have
gonna-
ability. So,
Unless someone wants to make a motion to keep it back, this is the way we're going to be moving forward. Okay. All right, recognizing the public for comments during this portion of the meeting, members of the
It's on.
Thank you.
so you're
Public.
keeping it on? Mike, I didn't understand.
No, the board, does everyone want to keep it on or just eliminate?
Just in general. So if we do the Zoom, we can have, it's just a different conversation. Like when we do Zoom, I want to know even with like the commentary, because there was some discussion about, I guess it was the last meeting, about how it's done elsewhere and comments come in that way. Like, so we're not going to have comments, no pre-sent emails, and there's also no like comments on the fly, even if we were to go to Zoom.
That part yet. The part, the Zoom comments, we haven't discussed yet.
Okay.
How that will work. This is more the board comment email that Mike spends about 30 minutes reading emails. That's the part that we want to eliminate. You want your comments.
I see what you're saying. So we want some in-person participation and, okay.
It takes up a large portion of the meeting when he has to read 3, 4, 5 emails that are maybe typically 2 pages long. And when the audience, parents have come to the meeting so that they can come and talk, it takes up a lot of time, and they're sitting in the audience waiting.
So I think
Right, and
that-
it doesn't preclude anyone from,
No, no.
right, you still can
Correct.
have that email, you still can have the conversation
Yep.
with Mike or
Correct.
any other
Absolutely.
board member to get your point across, and
Correct.
then with that connection with the board member, that board member may be able to have a conversation as well, so,
And that
okay.
email is also, if it's sent to the entire board, it's also not read, but is also made part of the
The
board correspondence.
the agenda.
So-
Part of
Right.
The agenda.
Right, because
So
it's in the, I'm sorry, just one more. So it's in all of those are typically in the agenda
Yes.
attached as correspondence,
Correct.
so
Correct.
it's there, okay,
So it is seen.
right,
It's just
okay,
not read out aloud.
okay.
So if, let's say, a parent or a resident writes to the entire board and requests for it to be read, a board member can still read it. There's nothing preventing us from that. There's no district policy.
I don't know that.
But there would be no place for that comment to be read, right? Because for the public comment portion, only the board president can respond to comments. There would be really no aspect of that meeting where that comment could be appropriately reread by another board member.
So during the public comments, right? Because if they
No,
specifically
because
say-
only the board president can respond to public comments. There's not supposed to be any dialogue by board members during public comment. The public comments, and then the board president decides whether or not a response would be issued, and if so, the board president then can direct the appropriate person. So whether the board president wants himself to respond, or the superintendent, because maybe the superintendent might have the answer to the question, but no board member should really be speaking during public comment, because it's a period for the public.
Okay, so I object to this decision because how can 3 board members, like I know that Mike is the board president and Angela is the vice president, and then Robert meet and make a decision. I think the entire board needs to make this decision.
Okay, so they were going around.
So you want to make a,
Yeah, this is about communication
wanna make a
and
motion
how
to-
we are
to
going to
vote?
conduct.
But you don't need a motion, you could just express
Okay.
everyone's
Yeah. George?
thoughts.
Hello, okay, sorry. I know, I understand how it extends the meeting. I just want to make sure that we have the proper way to receive comments. And and it's a give and take, right? I know some people can't come all the time, but somehow, I just want to make sure that over the past couple of years, it's been about communication and how are we allowing the community to communicate. So I just want to make sure that if that's not a way, that as we go and have other things that come up, like that we have the forums to ensure that there is that communication with the public so we truly understand. But, as we said, that doesn't stop someone from sending an email to the entire board, so the entire board will be aware of it. And then we can, if it's part of agenda or an agenda item we need to add, we can add it to the agenda in the future. But I just want to make sure that whatever we do, we just make sure that we have that dialogue. We don't lose a touch point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I think it was very hard to understand the emails when they were read anyways. So it kind of did feel like we were all like, even last time we were like, okay. Like they're just monotone. So I do feel that it makes sense, and I think we do need to find other ways to communicate with the public, though. I think we do need to get more involved and have more face time, but otherwise I think that this is probably a good decision for the meeting.
Okay, Robert?
I agree with the statements of Dr. Varley and that approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Sorry.
no, I agree. I just think it takes so long, and I'm concerned about when people come to the meetings, how sometimes we have to sit through half an hour of read emails. So I think it's a good thing, but I do agree we will look at other ways to, make sure we communicate.
Okay. Dr. Parker?
I'd like to hear from the public and the emails sometimes. I would ask that you read it not a little slower, though, because it's sometimes hard to follow.
Well, I just trying to read it in 3 minutes.
I know you. It's just slow down a little bit. That's all.
Sorry?
I think we
And you
need
can
a
do a selection also. You don't have to do the whole email.
I can't edit that. I'm not even going to touch that one.
So I feel that.
No. You can abstract it. That's all.
I'm not even going to touch that.
So my concern is, I think, are we taking a vote on this?
Yeah,
or
I
are
think
we
that's what we were doing, right?
No,
Were we not? Sorry.
We're just having a discussion.
you don't need a vote. I think it was just a discussion to see where the board members are with this decision.
And then on the second announcement, are you disabling comments on the district social media pages?
We are disabling the comments where we can, because Instagram, we cannot disable the comments.
I think that's against the law, actually.
No, it's not. It opens the board up to liability for things being posted on our social media. So I did seek advice of counsel, and we are going to be, starting on Tuesday, tomorrow, we are going to be removing the option to post on our Facebook page.
Can I see the advice that you got that says that we can turn
The
off
advice is sitting right there.
It was
Yeah, like
verbal.
I want to see the statute that says, just because an
It's
attorney
the
is
First
here-
Amendment. The boards have to be very careful because they can't essentially, you have to be careful with what comments are on the page because once you start, and boards have a rationale, right? You don't want anything that's going to promote violence or hate or drugs, right? Like those would be your, but you have to be very careful because you don't want the board's website or forum to be used for private purposes and things like that. Once the board starts picking and choosing, trying to make sure that there's neutral content, it's in danger of being accused by somebody of picking and choosing off of, which voice can and can't be heard. It is easiest, and it actually, saves a lot of administrative resources. No comments. Like the primary purpose of the social media is to communicate from the school to the community, what's going on, keep them updated. When you have comments, now you can have people who might misuse that comment feature, and now you have administration trying to see what shouldn't be there, what should be there, and it does become problematic.
No, so basically which statute or which law states that we can turn it off? Because you're turning it off on Facebook, but you're not turning it off on Instagram. You're not even being...
But there's also no law that requires you to have social media. So the discretion to have it is the discretion to also decide how to utilize it as well and provide it.
Okay.
So it's vague, right? I think we need a vote on this because I don't agree that we are going to continue having a social media
But
push.
the website, it's not the board's website. It's administration. It's operation.
No,
That's not
it's
our
a-
board.
We're not voting on this. There's nothing to
Please
vote
move
on.
on,
We
Mr.
just need to
President.
go
No,
to...
why can't we, so this is a district, we, the board, basically make a decision on who our administration is and we hire them. The administration can make a recommendation and the board makes the decision. We are the advisory role.
No,
No,
that's-
that's not how it works.
That is incorrect.
That's incorrect.
All right, we're going to